I'd be okay with shooting Daniel. So, or even shooting Dan.
Is this because of what?
What? That's not the right video, folks. Hold on. We are going live. Hey, everybody, it's showtime. Showtime, and I'm a giant nerd. All right. Yeah.
do. Oh, yeah.
Ready to go live. Hello, everybody. It's a dinosaur. His name's Rex and blah 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 bloop. Do 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 do. Yeah! This episode is sponsored by Quack Alert. They are ridiculously in love with ducks. I have no clue why, but you know what? It's cool. Hey, everybody. It's Chris from the Charity Board Gamer.
The Rex bit gets me so good.
It's a lot of fun. You know, the energy that I got from that came from being around T from Haba, because they were playing with it. I was at PAX Unplugged last year, but no, there wasn't anything last year. But I was there 2019, and I went to interview T, and T was there playing Valley of the Vikings. And they were just having a blast. Like, they were using the dinosaur head to actually do the bowling. And it just made for a good, fun, ridiculous time. So I truly just kind of like drew myself into it. So when I did some demonstrations for them, I was like, hey, when you send stuff our way, can you make sure just to send a couple dinosaur heads? And so
I'm a terrible fidget. Like this, we're just going to forget an intro. I have this fidget toy which a friend gave me. She's a teacher, and she has a bunch of these for her classroom. So whenever she's got kids who are struggling to keep their attention, she hands these out. And they're the best. There's something specifically. It's just wood with a piece of elastic in the middle, and there's something about the way you can manipulate it that helps me really keep attention. But sometimes I will just lose myself, and I'm terrible for plushies. Like, I've got the Dice Tower plushie, and I've got my Among Us plushie, which randomly has a squeaker in it, like a dog squeaker, and I'll just lose myself squeaking away, like playing with it in my own little world. And people, please stop squeaking the toy on a call. I'm in the middle of a meeting, just like.
Oh my gosh! I could just picture you doing that too, and like, I mean, I have to fidget, like, even while we're doing this right now. Like, I have a like stool that I just kind of like. I do most of my live streams barefoot because I just like the coldness of the basement floor, and I feel the stool like right nearby. There's another stool that's right nearby me, and all I do is I just mess with it the whole time I'm talking.
Let's get into the serious conversations then, because I have this weird thing where if I'm working or if I'm playing games on my PC, I like shoes on, and I don't wear my shoes in the house any other time. But if I'm working at my desk or I'm gaming and I'm concentrating on something, I like my shoes on, and I like them tight. And there's something about being at a desk. There's something about the reassuring robustness of a tight shoe. It's so psychologically strange. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but honestly, at my desk, never barefoot. Otherwise, I feel really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I could do barefoot. Like, seriously, I play the cello. I've played it for some different churches, and I've just gone up there and I'm like, I'll be nicely dressed, and I'll be like in the nice shirt and the tie and the dress pants, barefoot, playing the cello.
Man, that's your comfort, right? If that's what makes you happy and feel good,
it is. Hey, folks, just so everybody knows, we're on here with Az Drummond from Lucky Duck Games. It's always fun to just have conversations with Az. One of my favorite things that we've done is we played a game of Among Us. Was that during the 24-hour live?
It was during your 24-hour live stream, man. That was such a good time.
I was so tired at that point, and I'm just like, does anybody want to join? I'm about to play Among Us, and
because I'm in the UK, so I was like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you were like 14 hours in.
Oh my gosh. I was so worn out by that point. I think that was 6 in the morning. Yeah, 6 in the morning. So yeah, but no, it's just it's always fun. Hey, we've got some other people saying hi. I already said hi to Better Half Reviews, William J. Brown, the Hungry Gamer, and then we've got Evan Gibbs. Oh, nice. Yeah, we just had Evan on the other night. Congrats on funding your Kickstarter, Evan. That's awesome. And that was a bunny party at Maple Valley. I kept saying Maple Valley during the whole live stream. I'm just like, I keep thinking it. But yeah, so tonight, what we're actually tonight or this afternoon, or well, it's really late over there for Az, so we're not going to keep them too long. But
I warned you. I've made podcasts go way long like this. I'm not a short conversation kind of guy. I'm a total rambler.
Oh, it's it's not good that we're together.
I'm the person in the room that if you say, I wonder if we could fit an elephant in there, I'd be like, right, let's work this out. Like, if you just come up with something random, I'm the one that takes it seriously and wants to explore it. Like,
oh, Christopher Preston's in here. What's up? Good to see you in
What's
here.
up, fam?
Yeah, just got some awesome people in here. That's really cool. Great to have you all here in the chat.
Can I do a little cheeky shout out?
Yeah, give it.
And it's a semi shout out and semi apology to William, right? The Hungry Gamer, because William did something amazing. Do I have it behind me? Yeah, I do. Right. This is the Court of Miracles. This is the Court of Miracles, which is a wonderful little worker placement game that we released in English. It was originally in French, but the Hungry Gamer made his own solo rules for the game. The game didn't have solo rules beforehand. He really enjoyed it, made his own solo rules, developed them, did multiple different versions of BGG, and I am going to humbly apologize to him because I'm very, very slow at getting back to him, but we're hoping to kind of make that into a nice PDF for the community and kind of bake that up and share it out. And it's so lovely to have someone be like, this is great, I enjoy this, I need, in a time of a pandemic where I can't play easily, how can I make this work in solo? I'm going to just invent the rules myself and then share them with people. It was such a lovely thing for him to do.
Well, I think the thing that I like about Court of Miracles is just that whole, like, getting renowned throughout the whole game, and it's you can play it at 5 players. For me, that's a big deal because we're a family of 5, and of course, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm going to quickly try to get my renown, quickly try to get it, and then as soon as I get most of my renown and I see the Penniless King getting closer to the death, I'm going to be like, okay, let's advance it. Let's just keep advancing it. But then my wife came up from behind and played her final renown at the very moment that the Penniless King went to the gallows. So it was a ridiculously crazy thing. But I have to take a look at this solo mode because I mean William Brown is just
it was such a lovely thing. Because the funny thing is, I really enjoy the Court of Miracles, and it's a Lucky Duck game, right? And I'm not going to sit here and chill it out right now, even though it's my job.
It's okay. I love the game, so I'm not gonna stop you.
We played it during Spiel in October. We played it on Tabletopia, and I played it with Ryan Schoon. I played it with Bree Goldman, who's part of Gamma and also done a bunch of Kickstarter campaigns. And oh my goodness, I'm forgetting someone. And Corey Thompson of the Dice Tower and his breakfast, his Dice Tower dinner, Dice Tower. I'm getting he's going to murder
breakfast
me.
Or
no, it's the one where he sits down and interviews designers and has dinner with them and interviews them. Oh, I'm going to really feel sorry for not remembering the name of it.
Sounds really good. I'd love to do something like just go out to dinner.
It's such a lovely format, the way he interviews people. But yes, we played Court of Miracles on Tabletopia and had a blast. And at 4 players the whole time, Ryan was like, you've got to watch for the quiet ones. You've got to watch for the quiet ones. And we're all attacking each other and backstabbing and stealing and moving. And Bree is sitting there quietly, just not getting involved in any ruckus at all, slowly just edging her way up. And we're all taking each other down and like stealing renown and moving on. And she's like, by the way, guys, I just won. And we're like, dang. It's always the quiet ones.
Yeah, it's it's just something about that. Like I enjoy the fact that like it can quickly change and people can like just when I'm playing the oh gosh, my brain is like farting right now, like everywhere. But when you place the tokens, the abilities down on the different locations in the neighborhood, and you're just kind of like, okay, I've got this here. I've got this. I've just got to pay 2 coins, and I've got a 3 strength, and then I've got a 1 here, and it's looking really good. And then all of a sudden, somebody plays a card, like a plot card, that moves me out of my neighborhood.
Or steals a coin from you, moves you to 1 coin, so you don't have enough coins to pay anymore, or does something.
Or then they have the beggar, and they're like, well, you look like you're gonna have to pay me coins, and then you're realizing, well, now I can't do anything. It's just
it's a really simple worker game, but with enough teeth to make you really annoyed at people, which I love.
Yep, and like William says, everyone go buy that game. I agree.
Yeah, it was a total sleeper. Like I think the English market wasn't kind of ready for it. It was really popular when it was printed in France originally, and then whenever we brought it to the US, I don't think anybody kind of realized. And then Z Garcia did a review of it, and he praised it massively. And all of a sudden, kind of it was on everybody's radar, which was amazing.
All right, it looks like we've got Matt Jackson on Twitch, 2003. I'm guessing that's when you started doing Twitch, Matt Jackson. I don't know.
I hope so, because I feel really old if not.
Yeah, it's like, yo, I think that's when Twitch started. I don't know. Who knows? It's craziness.
It was called Justin TV, right? It was Justin TV before it came Twitch. Am I showing my years at that?
I don't even know that. I was still like back in I did college. In college, we had Facebook and MySpace, and then was it YouTube had just really become big around 99, 98.
Yep.
I think it was. And then it's just, there's so many different platforms and stuff like that where it's kind of like, I'll kind of stick with YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah.
That's about it. But yeah, oh my gosh, is G4 coming back this year? Now that would be great. If G4 came back, that would be really interesting to see that happen. But yeah, MySpace. I just said, what about LiveJournal and Friendster?
Friendster. We had one in the UK. I don't know if it was big. I missed MySpace. I never really got on MySpace. I think it was kind of just dying out as I was kind of getting into the social media thing. Mm-hmm. But we had one over here called Bebo.
Okay.
Bebo. And it was huge in the UK for a while. And there was this thing on Bebo where you could select who was visible as your top 9 friends. So who were the 9 people that fit into your 3x3 grid? And you used to lose friendships over that. Like that was like, oh, they took you out of their top 9.
Oh, wow.
It was a social stab in the back, you know?
That does not sound good at all.
No, it wasn't. Bebo was a very colorful and bright social media site on the surface, but it had a lot of these mechanisms that were not very pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the idea that you're like basically saying to your friends, hey, out of the 700 and something people on Facebook, I'm going to put these as my top 9 favorite people.
Yeah, right.
What was the question? Okay. Did News Corporation own the Fox Entertainment Group in MySpace? I don't know. I have no clue. I thought it was the one guy that owned MySpace, and he was just kind of like, I don't know.
I played a game. You might be familiar with it, Chris. Jackbox. The 7 different Jackbox games.
Oh, I love Jackbox.
I played the murder trivia one for the first time a couple of nights ago, and I realized just how bad at trivia games I am. I'm appalling. So that kind of question, woof, no good.
Yeah, I mean. I have no clue who owned MySpace. I thought it was just the one guy because it was kind of like
Tom. Everyone had Tom as their friend, right?
Yeah.
Tom, right? Tom.
Yeah. But Fox Interactive. No, I don't even remember Fox Interactive. No, I don't remember that one.
No,
it's crazy. No. So what have you been up to? I know you've been busy and keeping busy. You've got something coming up, but the other thing I was going to ask you about was your journey. We've just kind of been rambling already and having a blast. So,
yeah, if anyone wants to give us cliff notes after this or minutes of this meeting, it'd be great. I'd love to see how like we got from bare feet computer work to the Fox network, right?
Yeah, and then timestamps for like, here's where we talked about this. Here's where we talked about this. And it'd be like minute after minute after minute of just like, This is the random tangents that they went on throughout the whole thing.
Just group that in tangents, right?
So what?
Yes. What do you want to know, man?
I want everything. I want to know everything, but I don't think we can all figure that one. But yeah, just something small coming up.
Just something little,
tiny thing. So what kind of got you into the industry? Because that's always one of those things that's always interesting. Like what was your life growing up with games? Did you play much as a family?
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of, how did you get to where you are with Lucky Duck now?
I mean, we're going back, right? Because I have a sister, but she's like 17 years my elder. She's technically a half sister.
Mm-hmm.
But she's my sister, but she kind of left home when I was young, right? So it was just me and my mum growing up. There was only the two of us. And my mum had me when she was 40. So there was quite a big age difference. So we didn't have a massive amount of stuff in common, and we didn't really play games a lot. But she did recognize early that I loved games. Like I remember getting a digital chessboard, like with magnetic pieces, so I could play against the computer on a physical board, which was like amazing for me. Like I adored that. I was in chess club. It's in secondary school, and I have always had an affinity for digital games, and digital games is really where I started. It was not in tabletop. I did play a little bit of Mordheim in my early teens, and a little bit of Warhammer 40K back in like when Tau first came out, which I think was 4th edition, 3rd edition maybe. It was a long time ago, but I wasn't really a tabletop gamer. I played a lot of PC, and I played a lot of competitive PC games. I used to do a lot of scrimming and European events, and I used to get involved in organizing LAN events, and I was very big on my Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, before they all became fancy, and before kind of Activision took over. And back in like Counter-Strike Source days, those were kind of my jam. And it wasn't until I think my mid-20s that I really, 23, 24, that I started kind of really coming round to board games. And it was primarily due to, there's a university in Belfast in Northern Ireland called Queen's University. It's quite prestigious, quite well known. And they have a club called the Dragon Slayers, but they have an annual event called QCon, which is the Queen's Con, which is all anime and, lots of cosplay, lots of competitions, lots of events and that kind of stuff, but loads of tabletop. And I think I really got my teeth into tabletop at their weekly events and then their annual cons that were really quite small, because Belfast is the biggest city in Northern Ireland, and it's 350,000 people, so by comparative to most US states and cities, it's a drop in the water, right? But to me at that time, it was amazing. And in my mid-20s, the thing that sparked it massively was a game called Android Netrunner, the living card game from Final Fantasy Flight Games. Sorry, not Final Fantasy. I always get that one.
Final Fantasy now.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
it's a good card game too. Actually, they have an amazing community, super diverse, really engaging. Anyway, I got super addicted to Android Netrunner and deck building and exploring that world. I have artwork on my walls downstairs of them. I have all the books related to Netrunner. I just adore that cyberpunk world. And it came at me from a time where I had never read all of the Neuromancers and the kind of the books that came before that kind of actually were like the seeds of this cyberpunk world building. I never read or got into those. Netrunner was like the first time I cut my teeth on that kind of cyberpunk, hacking world, and I adored it. And what that turned into was me starting to make YouTube videos to go and compete at events and then eventually organize events. So I was organizing like nationals for Ireland. I then went to the UK and was on the judging team for like the UK nationals. And this was actually through Asmodee UK. And this was all in like my spare time. So it was evenings and weekends whenever I could take holidays off work, because I was working for a bank at the time. I worked in a bank as basically an analyst for most of that time, but I worked at the bank for 7 years and gave them most of my 20s. And I realized that through these years of organizing events and engaging people and exciting people and building a little local community, creating content online, and then eventually actually getting contacted by Asmodee UK and also by a small news outlet organization in Northern Ireland called On Tabletop. They were originally called Beasts of War. They do miniature coverage and they wanted to do more board game coverage. They also contacted me and say, hey, we love your energy. We love what you do. We love, your passion for community building. We want to offer you a job where you can come and be on camera, talk about games, share games, and kind of promote and basically just do a news outlet essentially for tabletop. So I'm sitting in a bank job for 7 years, good security, good pension, everything's good. Like I really can't complain. And I get offered this basically minimum wage job as a small kind of family-run tabletop news outlet. And I would have to move home. I'd have to move back to my original house that I lived in when I was a kid. And I hadn't lived there for like 9 years. And I'd have to move back into my old bedroom because I couldn't afford to rent somewhere on the wage. And I was looking at these two options and I was like, I got to go. I just have to go. The banking and the security and the money and everything's great, but it's not the passion and the energy and the love that I got from demoing at conventions, organizing events, and just discussing and sharing people's games. So I got so insanely lucky. I spent 9 months with Beast of War, and during that time, I got to do what I consider to be one of the best jobs in the world, which is each week we would have a different publisher come in, or a different miniature company, or a different game designer come in and say, hey, on the Monday I would meet them. I would see their game. We would play it a little bit on Monday. We'd get familiar with the background. On Tuesday, Wednesday, we would film 2 or 3 or 4 videos talking all about the game, exciting people about it, telling them why it's awesome, why it's not, things we want to talk about. And on Thursday, we would film another show all for the weekend. And that was my job. And every week, new people were coming in, and I was meeting engaging, positive, excited people who just wanted a platform to share their product. And then after that, I met the Mythic Games team, who were promoting at the time Joan of Arc. And they also did Mythic Battles originally, but Joan of Arc. And they basically kind of saw me and were like, look, what you did for us was awesome. How about come and doing that for us full time? I was like, wow. So I've gone from bank to small outlet to now an actual publisher saying, come and market our products the way you do all the time. And I was like, wow. And this meant moving again. So I moved from Northern Ireland to England. Never planned to do that in my life, but I did. And I went to a new city where I didn't know anybody, and started working for a company based in Paris. And I started then attending conventions, working for Mythic, handling all their marketing. And that's where Kickstarter became my thing, because I've been part of Joan of Arc, Solomon Kane, Reichbusters, Super Fantasy Brawl, now Chronicles of Crime, the Millennium series. So a whole bunch of multi-million-dollar campaigns. And that's really been the past kind of 2.5 years of my life now as marketing. But in January, just last year, Mythic had to make a big change as a company. Mythic Games had to close their UK operations. So they essentially, unfortunately, had to let pretty much everyone from the UK go. But I was very, very lucky that we had done a partnership with Lucky Duck Games, and I had gotten a little bit to work with the team at Lucky Duck because they were working on Time of Legends Destinies, which was essentially a licensed IP of the Joan of Arc world that Mythic Games had. And when they realized I was out of work, the CEO, Vince, who's absolutely amazing, contacted me and said, look, let's have a chat. And we had 2 or 3 phone calls, and we shared a good Google Doc together, and we talked about aspirations and excitement and what we wanted to do. And then he brought me to Poland. We had dinner, and that was it. Vince offered me a job. I was super thankful for that opportunity because it was really it happened right at Christmas time. My last day with Mythic was on the 23rd of December, and it kind of came out of nowhere that the company had to downsize the way they did. So for me to get to have that opportunity with Vince, and for him to reach out and to take a chance on me, was just an incredibly humbling and really, really awesome thing. And now I'm the marketing director, which is kind of an overly fancy title, but I handle all the English titles now for Lucky Duck Games because we publish now in English, Polish, and French. So we have teams, publishing and marketing and sales teams across all 3 languages. And steak, I ordered steak. So did he. And in fact, I think I did the real chicken thing where he ordered steak first, and I think I just said, I'll have what he's having. I think I was a real chicken about it. I was really nervous. You don't want to come off, so you let him order, and then that sets the price range, and then you can order below it. You don't come across too too inconvenient. And yeah, so now I've been with Lucky Duck for a year. Feel still like I'm flying by the seat of my pants, but because I've got really what I consider to be one of the best jobs in the world, which is getting to work with amazing artists, amazing designers, amazing writers, amazing app developers, and they go, here's this amazing thing, and I get to present it to people. I mean, how lucky and amazing a job is that?
That's beautiful. And it looks like we just got rated by the Game Cupboard. They're actually out of the UK, and they're live streaming. So yeah, thank you very much. That's awesome. For those who are joining,
I'll start again, will I?
Yeah. So we'll start from the beginning. We'll start with the awkward conversations and the weird things where we're talking about how we fidget and just start off the ball. Oh my goodness, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks for rating us. Really appreciate it. Welcome to our family. This is the Charity Board Gamer, where we talk about different nonprofits. We talk with different board game publishers and designers and people in the industry, and we just kind of have fun. So thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things. And I think somebody put a question in here, and I'll try to get to some of these later. I know Matt Jackson's got some questions as well, and everything, and we'll try to touch some of these questions towards the end as well. But one thing that somebody said, it's not a question, but wanted to let you know, my best friend and I run a board game Instagram page. I checked this out, the Samwise Targaryen, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love the mixing of the two worlds there.
yeah. I mean, the best Hobbit, the best character in all of Lord of the Rings is Samwise Gamgee. I mean, can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, talk about Chronicles of Crime all the time. So very cool. Yeah, I love you all. So that's really cool. That's Ben and Kelly from the Game Cupboard, which is really, really awesome. They actually sent me a copy of Dark Side Rising, which is right there. Oh. Yeah, and I sent them a copy of a game based around space. I don't remember what it is, but we sent it back and forth, and we learned a lot about how much shipping is internationally, which is just
oh my word. That's a sore subject for me at the moment, because in the UK we've just, I don't know if this is the right word, but we're Brexited, so we're not part of the UK anymore. So I've had packages that were meant to arrive to me on the 4th of January and are still not with me. What's that, 24 days later? Because we're going through all sorts of shipping fun. And I have sympathy for every single publisher who's trying to look at shipping games at the minute, because the UK is an issue, but also the shipping in general, the container issue in China, and the costs and the cancellations right now. It's an incredibly boring topic because it's all about logistics, but it's a terrible one for people trying to sell games right now.
Well, at the same time, though, like you said, it might be a terrible subject to talk about, but at the same time, though, I think it's a good one to talk about, because you hear people, and I enjoy gaming, and Kickstarter's been a big thing that people have been doing, and of course, the biggest complaint that a lot of people have after they back a Kickstarter is, my game hasn't gotten here yet. I'm not happy. I expect it to be here by this day. It said March 2021. It's March 5th. I don't have it yet. Or it's like, and what you're saying is true, that right now we're in a very interesting shipping crisis with freights and everything. And it's kind of like, okay, it's coming.
Yep.
The publishers are doing everything that they can to make it happen, but they don't own the freights. They don't own all these things. It's like, oh no, I expect you to have like so many freights over in China ready to come over like right now.
It's I think the scariest thing for me is it shows the fragility of the current cycle of producing in China and then shipping, domestically to the US and Europe, because all it takes is a shipping company to say, actually, your container is now going to be $12,000 instead of $4,000. And you're, as a board game publisher, saying, well, that's my margin. Like that's my profit from this container, or most of it gone. I literally cannot pay to ship that. I have to wait for prices to come down, which means I now need to pay for those games to sit ready to come. And that is something completely out of the publisher's control. And I mean, it's important to say we're, of course, not the only industry impacted by this. It's impacting every industry that relies on that kind of infrastructure. But the fact that you can really do nothing about it is really, I think, where it shows the fragility and shows just how vulnerable we are when we do that this way. So we, like, for example, at Lucky Duck, we always consult with a Polish factory in the EU, and they do print some of our games where we can work out that, like, the CO2 and the footprint of that, and also the cost and the printing and the transportation, where it makes more sense to do it in the EU, we will. So we won't always print. And actually, like, an interesting thing with the Millennium series, we printed all of it in China, except for the neoprene mats. Because of the size and the issue with them, they're printed in Poland. And we did that simply. It didn't make things easier for us. It made things a little more complicated, but it meant we weren't shipping these massive, because they're huge. It's like 120 centimeters by like 60 centimeters. It's massive. These huge mats, we weren't having to worry about getting them in the container into boxes. And it just made sense then to bring things together and then ship them out afterwards once we've collated them. And that kind of stuff, I think, is things publishers are going to have to now think about more.
Yeah, and like William said, especially good for backers to understand what is happening on that end for delays and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's so true. We of course want our things now. We want the things that we can get now.
Yeah.
We're very much an instant gratification, gimme people. It's true. I mean, we watch YouTube. YouTube's like 2-minute videos most of the time. It's like, all right, what's the next one? I want to watch the next one. Or, I mean, for crying out loud, they even came out with a thing called Quibi for a while, which was 10-minute video.
Quibi, yeah, that didn't last too long.
I still don't understand that. It blew my mind. The only thing I really wanted to watch on there, and hopefully it will hit YouTube or something later, is the Princess Bride suede version that was done by the Jonas Brothers and other people. So, that's kind of something that I'd love to see. But yeah, I think the nice thing though is that, through it all, I've seen a lot of publishers, the biggest thing that they've been doing is communicating as much as they can and being there when people complain and stuff. That's something like even companies, you've got Greenbrier Games, you've got Weird Giraffe and Galactic Raptor, Carla's stuff. Like there's delays, and what's crazy is that they're kind of the forefront, just like you're kind of the forefront where people are going to be like, hey, why is my game not here yet? Hey, this is the deal. But that's why the communication on Kickstarter is so important.
Unbelievably so. I have to say something like this, and this is not me like over exaggerating. The backers for our Chronicles of Crime, the Millennium Series campaign, and Kingdom Rush campaigns both did something tremendous for us in October. We asked them if they would be okay with us sending 1400, so one of the 3 Millennium Series games, and also the Kingdom Rush base game to retailers before the majority of backers would have actually received their games. And we went out to them and we said, we're doing this because we're trying to make this holiday season rush. It's such a vital time for us to have that stuff in stores. If we are only getting that in December or mid-December, it might not even go on shelves at all. And the pain of that financial loss to us would have been traumatic. Because the only other option was hold them in a warehouse until backers get it and kind of honor that pledge that we really want to do, which is give it first to the people who made it happen. But when we're presented with this situation of a couple of weeks either side of giving to a backer could kind of not make or break the company, like we weren't going to like collapse if it didn't happen, but it could really help us through what's already been a tough year. And the backers for both campaigns overwhelmingly said, yes, do it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just proof that we have a beautiful community of people.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, we very much want the things that we want, but like you said, like people that support companies like Lucky Duck, I mean, the products you're going to get, that it's going to be great, and you want them to be able to keep making it. So help them stay paid and still have jobs and not be furloughed and stuff. We had to even at our hospital. At a hospital during COVID, we had to furlough like so many days out of the month to just basically help the hospital stay afloat, which is crazy.
That sounds backwards, right? That just really doesn't make sense on paper like that.
It's very strange. It's very strange that we had it like that. It was kind of like, why is this? But yeah, let's see here. And thank you. I want to say thank you to the Game Cupboard. They've subscribed with Prime. Appreciate that very much. Thank you for using your Prime subscription. You didn't have to use it with me, but you used it with me, and so that means a lot. That truly does. So thank you. Look on here. We got James. He's saying, "Hey, Chris." And as Paranormal Detective is one of the most underrated games, people need to talk about it more. It's so good. I haven't played that yet. I don't know.
Oh, do you know what? Okay, here's the really sad thing about Paranormal Detectives is it's not the best game for a COVID time. You do have to remove some of the cards because some of them involve touching, so it's only for people in your bubble. But it's imagine if you're playing Mysterium or a game where someone is a ghost and you're trying to find out who, what, when, where, why. So basically, how did they die? What happened? But it's competitive, and you're all trying to glean information from the ghost and make your guesses as you're trying to find the 5 bits of information. But some of the information is given secretly to you, and some of it is given publicly, so all the paranormal detectives can see it. So it's like you're trying to ask, it's a party game, it's very light, it plays in like 20-30 minutes, but you're trying to ask really sneaky questions to get the information that you need to complete your answers without giving too much away to the other detectives, or taking advantage of the secret clues and having like the ghost draw a shape on your back, or having them kind of make a shape with we call it the hangman's noose, but it's basically like some wire, and you can make shapes with it so they can convey messages to you. So it's super fun, it plays really light, and we have a range of, I think there's 60 different kind of cases. We say cases, but they're mysteries. And there's the ones in the game, and then we have one for the app as well. We actually updated it in Halloween this year with another 12 cases, I think we put in the app, just so people have more stuff to play.
Let's see here. And I think William was messing around with you, as I would love to hear your thoughts on the best ways to communicate bad news.
Hey, it's a great question, and it's a great topic. And I must admit, I've been in the position on a couple of Kickstarters where campaigns where that's had to happen. And sometimes it's not terrible news, sometimes it's awful news, and sometimes it's nearly unfixable news, which is kind of the worst. And I think honesty is paramount, but don't feel like you have to give every single bit of detail. I'll give you an example. Because I think it's best when you talk real terms, right? We've got Kingdom Rush, which delivered in multiple languages, but we had a partner for Germany who was handling the shipping themselves for the German game, because they translated it for us and they were going to handle the logistics because they were handling the distribution of it. They had 3 different shipment containers cancelled on them. Basically just, yep, you're going to be on that shipment. Nope, last minute cancelled. Okay, you're going to be on this one. Nope, now it's been cancelled again. And that was basically like a month and a half lost of the game sitting in China, not moving. So we have this really large disparity where we have people getting their games, and the German edition, they're waiting an extra month and a half, 2 months to get their games. And the honest answer is we don't need to go in. So I'm going to communicate that bad news. I need to tell them what's happening. I need to tell them what the backers need to do, which in this case is nothing. They have no action to take. It's just be informed. But I don't need to go in and tell them absolutely every single detail. I need to explain, a summary and concisely in a clear manner that's understandable by anybody, with no jargon, no logistic information that's going to go over the head of people, and just tell them what the outcome is for them. And I think that's the thing, is put yourself in the person's shoes who's going to be reading it, and just ask yourself, does this answer the question that they're going to have? Because if they're going to think, okay, you've just told me this happened and this happened and this happened and this delay, but the question is, what does that mean for my game? What does that mean for me? Because I backed it and I want it. So if you're not answering that, then you're going to get it in your comments anyway, and you're going to end up trying to answer it in comments, and I'd rather it was in the update. So concise, clear, try and keep it simple, give detail, but don't over-inform people, and tell them what it means for them. And make sure that if there is a call to action, if you need them to send an email or you need them to fill in a survey, that is not lost. Make sure that is really easy for them to find, because I love this thing. The French guys and Polish guys don't get it at all for some reason. It must be an international thing. But I love updates that have a too long, didn't read at the start. So I say, hey, everybody, in this update, you're going to get bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And I just hit with the, here are the facts. Then comes all the text. But if you've just read the first 3 bullet points, you've got the gist and you've got the important bits for you. And I love that. Someone that reads so many updates.
No, I understand that. I'm ADD as can be. So it's like if I have to do this, I mean, you wonder why they have that giant long list of stuff in those apps where you're like, all right, do you agree? I'm like, sure, because I'm not going to read it.
Yeah. I mean, what's my choice, right?
Yeah, it's just my firstborn child, So it's probably.
You would love it if every contract or every term and condition you'd ever agreed to could just be found in a cabinet somewhere, and someday you could just open it and be like, okay, what have I sold? Right? Oh, my soul, my pets. All right, okay, they're all gone. All right.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I gave it all away with the latest Apple update. Gosh. So tell us about the latest thing that's coming out, because you're doing a little something different. We've been talking about Kickstarter, but there's a new service that's out that's really industry, like it's on a new level. And it's really been just kind of building up steam. And Lucky Duck Games, if I'm correct, is one of the first ones that's going to be working with it. Other than, I think it was I forget the other publisher.
So ISS Vanguard did by Awaken Realms. They launched it was the first crowdfunding project on GameFound.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know, GameFound was our pledge manager and was a pledge manager, but it was specifically Lucky Duck's pledge manager for, I'm pretty sure, all of our campaigns. I've just been with Lucky Duck a year myself, but as far as I'm aware, I think nearly every Lucky Duck Kickstarter campaign, which is 10 plus campaigns, has been pledge manager through GameFound. So we were really familiar with it as a pledge manager and how that worked and how to set that up and make it easy for people and transfer data. So as soon as we kind of found out that they were considering doing crowdfunding specifically for tabletop products and targeted, that way and built that way with a consideration for how the implementation of the website would work with stretch goals and add-ons and that stuff built into the functionality, we were like, oh my goodness, tell us more. Like what can we do here? Because they're also so the GameFound team are also based in Poland alongside the Awaken Realms team. We're based primarily in Poland, even though we have people elsewhere around the world, and we're being quite close with them for a number of years and chatting with them. So whenever they approached us and said, would you consider this, we were certainly interested. And then whenever we told them that we were going to do a sequel to Kingdom Rush. So with Kingdom Rush Rift in Time ran in 2019 and raised over $1 million. We're now doing a standalone sequel called Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising, because we're very happy with our relationship with the licensors Ironhide. They were like, yeah, we're on for a second game. And whenever GameFound found out we were doing that, they were like, that's a big project that's going to bring a lot of eyes to the platform. It's exciting and engaging. We want you to launch, and we want you to launch as soon as possible after ISS Vanguard finishes. So we're going to be the first publisher to launch, but I do think there will be many more in the coming months. And I think time's really going to tell how GameFound and Kickstarter are going to coexist in a world, because I think I don't want to get too technical, but speaking as someone that's been part of many Kickstarter campaigns, a large percentage of people that back Kickstarter campaigns just come natively, organically from Kickstarter itself. So your referrals and your ads and your marketing and everything you're doing with content creators does generate traffic, of course, but generally speaking, 60, 70%, even more, comes from inside of Kickstarter just due to their size and presence in the industry. So it's certainly an interesting time to see, how many people that will be able to get involved in the campaign and how that will do. And how the community overall will start to navigate and warm to this. And I could talk about the technical aspects and all that stuff, in a lot of detail. If anyone has specific questions, I'm happy to share little bits and pieces.
Yeah, William Brown actually has one. It says, how did you balance the savings of using GameFound regarding fees versus significantly broader exposure you get with Kickstarter?
So I'll not go into the details of the fees and stuff that we pay, but it's worth noting that I think what William's alluding to here is that GameFound initially set up as a pledge manager, as I mentioned, and they basically offered service for free. So they didn't take a cut of the money that you're bringing in through the pledge manager. Now, that's not going to be their case with GameFound as a crowdfunding platform. They're essentially, they're not going to give the 0%, forever. So that kind of direct balance that William's kind of talking about was not something we really did. We weren't really thinking about that. We certainly considered the volume of people that would see our campaign, and if not, running on Kickstarter would be an issue. However, seeing the back end, seeing kind of how much scope GameFound has to reach audiences. GameFound are the biggest, if not maybe second biggest, after maybe CMON. Come on, what are CMON called these days? Come on, CMON.
I don't know. It's like
okay,
like come on,
yeah, right. So I think Awakened Realms, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but they've got to be top 2, top 3 at worst on Kickstarter campaigns. And now with ISS Vanguard raising over $4 million on GameFound, their platform, that's run by, they're 2 separate teams, they're 2 separate organizations, but they're closely knitted together. And they've taken that experience of amazingly run Kickstarter campaigns that they've done with the likes of Nemesis and Tainted Grail and Etherfields, and they've put that experience into the team and helped share that with the team that are now building GameFound, which was convincing enough, once you see it in practice, an argument for us to say, yes, this is absolutely worth a try. And I think it's important that GameFound has a few successful campaigns, so it's in their interest that we're successful, and they're very keen to support us in every aspect. Any questions we've had from them, they've been really responsive, right down to me saying, "Hey guys, I'd really like. I don't want to spoil anything, but in case it doesn't happen, but I really cheekily, we're launching the campaign in 12 days. We're launching on the 9th of January, or 9th of February, sorry. And I cheekily just a few days ago just said to the programmers of GameFound, any chance I could have a poll system, like a voting system just built in? Like, could you just, that'd be great. Essentially, that's how the conversation went. And they were like, yeah, we'll see if we can do that. And I was like, oh, awesome. Like, I don't know if it's definitely going to happen because there's only so much time between now and when we launch, but they're going to give it a go and see if they can get something set up for me. And I was like, hey, like, that's just wonderful to have that kind of engagement and that one-to-one relationship to say, look, can we make this even better? And they want that kind of input. The fact that they're listening to publishers and saying, what do you want out of a crowdfunding platform? I mean, that's just tremendous. I think users are going to love it as well, generally speaking. But we'll see. I'm hesitantly optimistic that it'll be a really good campaign.
Well, I do like the fact that what they're really trying to do is to approach the one part, like that part of the industry that we're kind of involved with, which is okay. I enjoy board games. I'm looking for something that's very game focused. Mm-hmm. Okay, so why not just deal with a company that actually their crowdfunding campaigns are specifically game related? I mean, it does make sense. It does make sense.
I think it's easy for us to think that Kickstarter is just a tabletop thing, but of course it's not, right? Kickstarter has so many different projects and platforms, like so much more. But there's a big enough industry revolved around board game crowdfunding that I think it was just a matter of time that someone said, okay, look, there's something else we can do here. And I mean, that's not to, like, there's a wonderful French company called Game on Tabletop, sorry. Mm-hmm. And they're fantastic, and they do similar things. They work a lot with French companies on RPGs, especially, and they're expanding a lot recently. They've actually grown their team massively last year, which is tremendous considering how tough last year was. So GameFound's definitely, again, not even the only platform out there growing. It's just the one that kind of happened to work really well for us, timing and location and energy wise. Yeah.
No, I'm excited to see what happens. So February 9th. We're going to be looking forward to that.
Yes. So I cannot wait. Do you know what? I am terrible. I've been forced to keep so many secrets. This is what happens when you work with an IP and a license, right? You can't share everything immediately because you have to wait for approval. And I'm there in marketing every day asking our project manager, have I got approval yet? Can I share it yet? And it's killer, man. It's the worst.
You know what's worse, though? You being the imposter in a game of Among Us is the worst. That is the worst.
I think you're pretty sus, Chris. You're pretty sus. I don't know.
I'm never sus. I don't think was I sus at all. Was I even an imposter in any of the games? No, I think that whole 24-hour thing. I don't think I got imposter once, and I'm just kind of like, are you serious? I want to kill some of these people for charity, and so yeah, but no. Let's see here. Oh, Williams got to head out. Running to another meeting, but this has been fascinating for me. Chris set up a Court of Miracles game with Az on Tabletopia sometime.
Yes, so I would down for that.
We could definitely be talking about that. I've got something I'm kind of planning February 20th. So yeah, that could definitely be a possibility. So who knows?
If I haven't teared my hair out in the middle of the campaign and I'm still feeling good, let's make it happen.
Don't tear your hair out. Look what happens when you start losing your hair. It starts. I've got to shave this just so I don't feel like I'm Bozo the Clown.
But what a great Halloween outfit, man! You can embrace it.
But it's like the middle. It's not even it's like the end of January right now. No, it's great because the hair comes back great in all the places that I don't that sadly I just not in the areas that I really wanted to. But I joke with
all that wisdom you're storing in there, man. You can't have all that wisdom and all that hair. It's just
I mean, I joked with my kids. I said, okay. They asked me, Daddy, when did you start losing your hair? Well, when were you born? And then it just went further back when you were born, and further back when you were born, and then it just all of a sudden quickly started turning gray and white, and I just started sobbing uncontrollably. And,
no. Don't give them things to talk about in 20 years' time on a sofa. Like,
that said, I was the reason he went bald. Oh, gosh. Yeah. So the other thing that we were going to talk about tonight is trees.org or Trees for the Future.
Yep.
I'm going to pull up real quick the actual website. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it, why you chose this one to talk about tonight. And we'll go ahead and
Can I do an intro ramble before I even talk about how amazing this charity is? Because I have to first talk about how amazing Gonzalo and the Thundergriff Games team are, because it was actually Thundergriff Games and Gonzalo that put me onto this, because they have planted 40,000 trees as part of their partnership with the Trees org team and the Trees for the Future. They have a program where essentially every time someone buys a game from them, they donate part of that funds to grow a tree. And back in, must have been April or May last year, it was roughly when we finished the Millennium Series campaign, I was really looking at ways that Lucky Duck could get more involved and kind of do more to support. And I noticed that Thundergriff were doing this, and I thought, oh, that's really nice. I think the fact that you buy a game and you plant a tree is really nice. And I think as board gamers, obviously, we use so much cardboard. It seems like a really nice connection. It just clicked with me, and I thought it was nice. Then I went to this website, and so I'm a marketer. I love information. I'm also analytics background. As I said, I worked in a bank for 7 years. A lot of that time spending doing analytics. It's something that appeals to me, and I got completely engrossed by the story of this organization, how they present their information and the impact. They have this 2020 impact report now, which is one of the most beautiful things I've seen for telling a story in a way of what they do that is so much more than just planting trees. They have a 4-year program, and essentially all of their gardens that they plant tend to work around this 4-year program. They'll bring together around 200 families, and they will start them on a 4-year planting, teaching, educating, and essentially reforestation, and I think they call it agroforestry. If you have a look at their approach, it's just, and their mission is essentially not just to plant trees, but it's to plant growth and trees that feed people and make communities survive. And there was a particular tidbit in their impact that blew me away, where they asked the 200 families that were doing the growing and the farming how much they thought they were worried about being able to feed their families that week. And in year 1 of the 4-year cycle, the families had like a 70%, 75%. They were thinking it's going to be quite difficult. Year 2, it was down to 50%. They thought they weren't going to be able to feed their families. Year 3, it was 25. And finally, by year 4, when they've gone through the entire kind of family growth plan. Click on the latest impact report, because it's one of the most beautiful and amazing and heartwarming stories this organization does. By the end of the 4 years, they haven't just planted trees, they have made a community's entire food infrastructure and brought it into existence.
Keep talking. I'm gonna stop the one screen. I'm gonna pull up that report.
That's all right. I just and the reason it grabbed me so intently, I think, was just how it was presented in a way that really kind of clicked and made sense to me. And this is going to sound maybe a little bit kind of cold-hearted, but it's almost like they presented it in a kind of a gamifying way, where it's like, these are the steps, this is the progression. This is not just about deforestation. This is about survival. This is about feeding people. This is about, and they work in like 5 or 6 different countries, like Senegal, Cameroon, Nigeria. They work primarily in Africa. Yes, this picture on the left, where you can drag the bar from left to right and see what happens after a year, is just like, it grabbed me in a way that I just had to start personally getting signed up to the monthly donation for the site and for this organization, because what they do is just truly what I think above and beyond I've seen a lot of charities doing. And they've been around since like 1989. So they've been doing this for like 30 years. But to me, this looks like, from the outside, and in terms of how deep they go into actually supporting the families, not just with planting, but with the education, so they'll be self-sustainable. It just seems like something so forward-thinking, so long-term, that I was bowled over by it. If you head through this, I think a couple of slides further in, if you go to like, I don't know, 4 or 5 or 6, there's another slide. It's the graph. Go forward a bit further. That one. This is the one that killed me.
Okay.
So this is the graph I mentioned earlier, where they basically say over time, we ask people essentially about how much food they have. And we look at, when you're going through the process, how they feel about struggling to have food. And that to me was just like, this is the proof in the pudding here. They're not just planting trees, they're making families and communities survivable. And I cannot rate them highly enough, and cannot recommend them enough. from a both a charitable and also, again, to sound a bit cold-hearted, like a marketing perspective. I have gone through this entire website several times, looking at their team, looking at their blogs, looking at their videos, looking at their reports, because it's so engaging. Even their newsletters are so, like, I used to do, when I worked at the bank, I set up 3 direct debits as part of a charity scheme at the bank, and I've kind of had them ever since, and I kind of forget about them. They go out of my account every month. They're just direct debits for like RSPB, Alzheimer's, and the dogs, the blind people dogs, and essentially it goes, and that's it. And I forget about it, and to be very honest with you, those charity donations come out by direct debit, and it just happens, and I think no more about it. Since I saw this website back like last summer, started like end of last spring, start of the summer, I've been engrossed in following every single update they do, because I've been compelled and overwhelmed by just how they present their stories and what they're doing for families. And I think it's totally, it's the way I want to engage people in a way that's undeniably convincing. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I want to get anyone who's willing to go to trees.org and not come away just going, I want to be involved. How can I help?
Well, I like this a lot, because you're thinking about it. You're not just planting trees. You're actually giving people something that will help them sustain and provide for their families. I mean, like going back to that one slide, I think it was slide 2? No, slide 3. Like looking at these different graphics of what it looked like before.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's just, and the thing is, they have programs of training. They have so if you don't necessarily, like, if you can afford to donate your time, there's multiple ways you can do it. You know, you can volunteer to go there and get involved, but you can also take part in their like reforestation and agroforest training programs, which will give you like a kind of UN certified accreditation to say that you are someone who is capable of creating these mini kind of garden, mini kind of forests, basically, to sustain communities. So it's kind of like they create multiple different ways for you to help without just being a donator, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah, and what's cool though is if you do donate, you can donate, monthly, you can donate once, you can donate whatever you want to donate. You can donate in honor of somebody, which is really cool. Hey, they got Google Pay. That's pretty sweet. I like that. But yeah, no, this is just really awesome.
And again, it's like there's so many charities out there. It's hard. Usually, they say the charity begins at home, right? But I find usually people, whenever you're thinking about what charities you can get involved with, usually it's something that relates to something that's happened in your life, or something that's important to you, or something that has sparked that interest for you. And for me, my mum suffers from dementia. So that was like a no-brainer for me. And whenever she's massive into birds and always has been, that was a no-brainer for me. This surprised me. I started with Thundergriff saying, buy a game, plant a tree. And I was like, okay, I'm interested enough to find out more about this. And then all of a sudden, I had my eyes open to everything that the Trees for the Future do. And they're part of the, I'm going to get this the wrong way around, but it's a Trillion Trees project, which is a massive, like kind of UN supported project where they're trying to plant, I think it's 1 trillion trees by 2050. I think it is, which is awesome. I, again, love analytics, love data. They also have a thing, which is, I'm not sure how I feel about it, actually. It's a little kind of almost competitive, but they have a way that you can see all the different people who have got their reforestry accreditations, how many projects they've been part of, how many hectares they've then created land that's fertile, how many trees that's led to, and how many families that's now supporting. So you can kind of see like wide scale how every individual is contributing, which kind of makes it look a little bit competitive, but it's also just really nice. And this is where it comes back to that gamifying thing, I think. And you mentioned earlier about YouTube and this short kind of dopamine quick hit. I think being able to see not just your impact directly from what you're doing, whether it's buying a game or donating or getting involved in another way, but getting to see it with everyone else there as well, it helps the community in a time where we're also remote and disconnected. And I love that. I think, yeah, it may be tapping into the gamifying kind of addictive habits that the human personality has, which isn't always a great thing, but I quite like that they included it.
Yeah, no, this is something that I really like this. I mean, the thing that kind of caught me isn't just the tree thing, it's the idea of feeding people, because that to me, that's something that's important. Yeah. I enjoy these organizations that help people find a way to sustain and to be able to prosper, especially for their families. Because if you look at that's a mother and 4 children. I think to myself, okay, how is this helping that? And then we're talking about it. I'm like, okay. And knowing that, okay, one of the things is grains and fruits and berries and all these different things that easily could provide, and to be able to have that is so important. So no, I love it. Yeah, it's so good. And just I just want to get whatever that is on that tree. So, but yeah, no, this is good. This is good. Yeah, awesome. Folks, if you're interested, trees.org, take a look, learn about it. That one site that was really cool. The where was it that the impact report.
Yeah, it's really good. They have another one which is like their approach, the page where you say learn more about their approach. It kind of tells you about that 4-year cycle that they do, where they're training people and how they're building up the families and how they're then growing that sustainability. I think this part here, which is just wonderful, and I think I loved how they presented just how each community was approached, and that they're creating these these forest gardeners. That's what it's all about. So it's not just like a let's plant trees quicker than people are cutting it down to save the ozone. This is more personal and more human feeling than just kind of trying to race the delogging.
Well, yeah, and you're educating on how to properly treat the different things. I mean, it's talking about it right there. Like, how do you properly garden? And I mean, that's we here in the States. We're so. I mean, I'll be honest. You don't see as many people gardening as much as we used to. We're relying on the farmers to just provide what we need, and we'll go out to the local grocery store and get it. Yeah. So. But being able to learn these types of abilities and skills makes it so you don't have to make those sacrifices, and instead you're able to provide in a different way.
Yep.
So I like that. So thanks for bringing that on.
Hey, really so welcome, man. Thank you for letting me chat about it.
Anytime. Oh goodness. Let's see. Is if there any questions in here? Let me take a look. I think we kind of went through some as we were going through. I think Matt Jackson had one saying where he was asking about Fox Interactive, and MGM UA Home Video United Artists.
These sound really American.
Yeah, and then Columbia TriStar. I don't know. I don't know why we're really talking to. I mean, a bunch of different movie companies. So I don't know. Yeah,
this is the trivia round that we missed.
Yeah, I mean, we were off on random weird tangents at least the first 25 minutes of the conversation.
Let me hit you with this then. We'll look to finish on the same random tangent. You're going to get locked in a bunker, Chris. You and your family. You're going into your bunker, and you can only take one flavor of ice cream with you. What flavor of ice cream is it?
It's going to be people are going to be like, really? And I have to say, it's going to be vanilla. It's going to be all natural vanilla ice cream, and here's the reason why. That's the only ice cream I can take. However, I can make some amazing sundaes and make so many different flavors with vanilla ice cream. I can add cookies to it. Boom, I've got my cookies and cream. I could add Thin Mints to it. Boom, I've got like a mint chocolate chip. I can take coffee and ice cream and make a coffee milkshake with a little bit of hazelnut liqueur and some whipped cream.
Dude, hey, you've been asked this question before. People are going to think this was a setup. That was a really great answer.
It comes from working in a restaurants for so long. Like I used to just kind of think about, okay, what can I do with these different ingredients? What can I do with different foods and ways to make these things? And so,
whenever Lucky Duck Games comes out with a Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign next year about making milkshakes with different ingredients, and you start with vanilla, it was my idea. Just telling you.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, as I want to say thank you very much for coming on tonight. It's a pleasure. But yeah, and for folks, if you are interested, trees.org. Don't forget GameFound. You're going to be taking a look at what Kingdom Rush. What's the latest one called?
Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising. We just revealed Ellie Menace today. He's our big boss, big four-headed elemental dragon, demon, phoenix monster. We just revealed him on our Facebook page today. So I'm so excited to do that.
And that's going to be February 9th on GameFound. Yeah. So take the time, make it a point, support not just a fun company like Lucky Duck Games, but also support an organization that's actually trying to make something other than Kickstarter, which is very admirable. And I really want to see this platform be successful and grow because there's a lot of good people behind it. So, yeah. But folks, we're going to go ahead. We're going to play out. Thank you again. Yes, Games Cupboard. I was so glad you were able to watch tonight. So thank you. And hope you all have a great night. Remember, if we can gather at the table, we can do the same for the good cause. So see you later. Bye.
Bye.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Greenbrier Games. Be on the lookout for Lost Ones hitting the Pledge Manager soon.